In a detailed LinkedIn post on 9th June 2025, Ervin, Chief Strategy Officer of CapitaLand Group and CEO of Commercial Management at CapitaLand Investment, responded to growing public concerns over rising retail rents in Singapore, urging calm and perspective amid mounting calls for reform. Titled, "Put Down the Pitchforks for a Moment and Hear Me Out. Perspectives on Singapore Retail," Yu addressed proposals such as rent control, vacancy taxes, and restrictions on foreign retail entrants. He warned that quick fixes may create unintended consequences. Yu likened rent control to hawker centers, where extremely low rents sometimes lead to erratic operating hours and inconsistent service. Rents may be just a few $100s, so storeholders open as and when they feel like it, he wrote, arguing that underpricing can degrade business standards. He said vacancy taxes would likely be ineffective, noting that landlords already have strong incentives to fill units quickly due to mortgage obligations. On the topic of restricting foreign brands, Yu suggested such proposals disproportionately target Chinese businesses, while Western entrants are rarely questioned. He pointed out the hyper-competitive nature of Chinese retail brands, which scale rapidly using centralized logistics and kitchen systems. This can be disorienting for smaller local operators, especially in Singapore's compact market. Still, Yu urged Singapore to uphold its pro-competition ethos. "Let's retain our bring-it-on mentality. This is our home ground, and we should focus on raising standards through fair competition," he said. Yu argued for maintaining a diverse retail ecosystem, managed malls, straighter malls, street-side shops, and hawker centers, and pushed back against what he called a rising anti-mall sentiment. He described it as elitist and disconnected from the experiences of everyday Singaporeans, highlighting New Baru, a creative reuse of an old-school campus by the Lo and Behold Group. As an example of innovative, inclusive development, he advocated for more PQ tenders to support sustainable placemaking. He noted that high land cost, not just rent, is a key driver of business expenses. Land now makes up 70% of development costs, compared to just 4% in the 1980s, he said. Yu proposed a temporary reduction of the development charge, a fee levied on developers to fund infrastructure, referencing its having during the 1985 recession. The DC was reinstated to 70% in 2007. "We do not want to see Singapore aging in place. There may be scope to right-size the umbrella," he said, suggesting this could unlock urban rejuvenation amid high interest rates and a maturing economy. Addressing perceptions of rent inflation, Yu pointed out that retail rents remain below pre-pandemic levels. URA data shows a more than 22% drop in both central and suburban regions from the fourth quarters of 2019 to the first quarter of 2024. He argued that occupancy cost, rent as a percentage of tenant revenue, is a more accurate gauge of affordability. For CapitaLand malls, OC stood at 17.1% in 2024, with Fraser's REIT at 16%. He also clarified misconceptions around rental reversion, noting that CapitaLand Integrated Commercial Trust posted only an 8.8% reversion in 2024, reflecting gradual increases for a subset of leases, far from the dramatic hikes seen in some private holdings. On the high-profile case of Floor Patisserie, which reportedly faced a 57% rent hike, Yu explained that public data showed the new rent yielded just 3.18% for the landlord. He linked such adjustments to rising interest rates and high acquisition costs, driven in part by redirected investor flows. He pointed to the 60% additional buyer's stamp duty on foreign residential buyers as a key policy shift that pushed capital into commercial real estate, inflating transaction values and, in turn, rental expectations. "Entry price makes all the difference," he noted, adding that landlords who buy at peak prices need higher yields to break even. He also stressed that rent is just one piece of the cost puzzle. Manpower and utilities often account for larger shares of operating expenses. He cited Floor Patisserie's cost breakdown, which attributed 42.8% of expenses to staff wages. Chain restaurants, Yu argued, are better equipped to cope due to economies of scale and eligibility under foreign manpower quotas. He praised Oriental Kopi's partnership with Paradise Group, which allows both to share kitchen and logistics infrastructure. He also discussed broader constraints such as Singapore's limited labor pool and import restrictions. For example, strict rules on duck imports have hindered the viability of authentic Peking duck restaurants, pushing many Chinese brands to pivot toward hotpot or simplified formats. Ye warned that Singapore risks falling behind cities like Bangkok, which offer lower costs and more flexible business conditions. Thailand has already overtaken Singapore as LVMH's largest Southeast Asian market, he noted. While acknowledging rising business pressures, Ye urged against clickbait narratives that distort the complex realities of Singapore's retail economy. I sometimes wonder how sustainable it is for Singapore to be the safe haven of choice for some of the most populous countries in the world, like India, China, Indonesia, he reflected.